is up, everybody? Welcome back to 2 Times the Grind. We're here for episode 2. We are so blown away by all of the love and support and the views that you guys have been flooding our way. I mean, I have no words about it.
I think when we originally uploaded the first episode, we were like, hopefully we get like 100 views. And I think now the video is up to 2.6.
Yeah,
I want to say.
Climbing.
Wow.
Yeah, so honestly, I cannot thank you guys enough for tuning in and wanting to listen to our ramblings about esports and all sorts of other things. So we hope that you enjoy episode 2. We've got a few topics to discuss today, but before we do, you probably noticed that in the middle of the table, as per episode 1, we do have the coffee that we're trying out this week. We're actually going to be trying out something a little different, kindly gifted to us by your sister, Samantha Jaklinski. Big shout out, SJ. It's Beanbox. Now, Beanbox is really, really cool. I've been learning a little bit about it, and I have the pamphlet here. So this is by no means an ad or sponsored in any way, but just something that we're trying out because we think it's cool. So Beanbox is actually a subscription that you can subscribe to monthly, where you get sampler bags of different coffee from all around the world, and you get to actually kind of have your preference of coffee beans. You can try loads of different ones out. You can then assess which ones you love, make them more regular for yourself, or if you fancy 1 month, oh, do you know what, I want to try some more out, you can do that and change that up and change your shipment frequency, etc. So really cool, something I've never seen before with coffee, the fact that you can literally subscribe and figure out what you fancy. Because there's one thing that I've learned, especially starting this podcast and wanting to try different coffees and also traveling with you too, is that there are so many different coffees in the world.
Absolutely. I think the cool thing with this subscription based service is just that for us it kind of works perfect. We're going to try a lot of what people recommend and send us, but for the times that we don't have anything, rather than just going to the store and buying the same coffees maybe we would, we have a box to open up and try different.
We do indeed. So they send you all sorts of different versions of coffee, and you can probably see here, and for all of you listening with no kind of visual aid here, it's a very small little packet of coffee. It's actually really lovely. The packaging is really cute. It actually doesn't say on it how much is in here, but we have obviously tried one of them, and it was enough for 2 cups, I would say, in a French press. So the one we're trying today is Kuma coffee. It's an Ethiopian Agaro Dera coffee. So the notes for this coffee, we're getting posh here, cantaloupe, mango, hibiscus, and honey. Now, we're going to have a little sip. Did you just have a little sip?
I just had a sip. It's scary how accurate it is, like with the notes. Like when I read it, I was like, oh, it's going to be like a lighter roast, a little bit on the fruity side, I guess you'd say. Oh, and it's pretty accurate.
Yeah. It's very floral. Yeah. It's nice though. It's floral without being perfumey. Very sweet. I can definitely taste the honey. I can't really taste cantaloupe in it that much. A little bit of mango, I would say, just a touch, but it's not like, I wouldn't say it's floral enough or fruity enough to really kind of be more like a herbal tea type tasting. It's not like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you can still add milk, or you can still add, dairy-free type substance to it, and it still tastes really good. Like I've got oat milk in mine. It's really nice, very light, I would say, extremely light, but really good. We're actually going to sip this throughout the podcast while we talk and chat and discuss different topics, and we'll let you know our rating after.
I actually have a question for, not you though, but for viewers to post or tweet us or somehow send us on social media how you drink your coffee, because I've actually really been wondering this. We use the Keurig machine a lot, and then French press a lot. And
well, we love espresso as well. So.
And sometimes we'll use an espresso. What is it called?
What?
Like that espresso maker. You know what I'm talking about?
I actually don't
We haven't
know.
used it in a while. I can't think of the name of it.
You know what it is? It's like the total metal steel espresso making, where you get like the big kind of paper bags and you're able to filter it through there. I don't actually know the official word for it. We'll find out. But we use that sometimes.
Let us know how you drink your coffee.
How to drink it in the morning, guys, or in the afternoon, or evening sometimes.
Probably multiple cups.
No shame.
Like us.
No shame at all. We love coffee, and hope you guys are enjoying our ratings of some of these. So the first topic we're going to talk about today, Paige, is of course Call of Duty, because that is something that has kind of taken the Call of Duty world by storm, because we've obviously got this incredible Super Week on the horizon. Actually, as we're filming this, it's day 1 of the Super Week. So we won't have updates on obviously the first 2 days before this goes out, but we're going to talk about what we think of the Super Week.
Typical project, anything that can go wrong does go wrong. We said in the podcast we're always going to be talking about Call of Duty, and obviously we are.
Yeah.
But we were planning on going over matches and highlights and stuff like that, and then next thing you know, Texas has no power because of a snowstorm.
Also, anyone in Texas, we're thinking of you guys, hoping everybody is safe and warm and has somewhere to go. And if you guys are struggling, just know that, things will hopefully get better from here, and please be as safe as you possibly can and as smart as you possibly can.
I think,
but we're thinking of you.
I think they're doing okay now.
Yeah.
That's what TJ being lethal and Frosty both have said. Everyone, I think, is back up and running. Hopefully I'm not wrong in that, because I certainly hope it is, but
yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully everyone made it through safe and healthy.
Absolutely. So I think
Super Week.
I think this is going to be super exciting. It's obviously going to be a ride. Whoa, right?
No pun intended.
Yeah. So first of all, we have to talk about the schedule. Yeah. So big schedule. There's a lot to take in here. Mm-hmm. It's a lot to remember, and it's a lot to really think about, because I think the really fun thing about Call of Duty League is that every single match counts. It's something that you look forward to, seeing your favorite teams. How many points can they get that week? Where are they on the leaderboard? And I think obviously early days is super fun, because you get to see who's at the start of the race and who's really kind of gunning for it. So you wanted to talk about Florida, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think they're going to accomplish in this Super Week based on their schedule?
I think that this is a tough week for Florida and a telling week for Florida. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. We don't have the laptop ready to say the schedule, but I know that they play FaZe, and I know they play LG. Mm-hmm. They play FaZe, they play OpTic, and they play Paris. Yeah. So I believe they should go 2-0 to begin the Super Week, and then they play FaZe, they play OpTic. Florida is a really hyped up team because of their takedown of FaZe in the preseason or kickoff.
Yeah, it was in the kickoff. It was one of the first matches.
The kickoff.
Kickoff Classic.
Yeah, kickoff Classic, right. Yeah. So they're actually really I don't want to say hyped up, because that's like discrediting them, but people, after them taking down FaZe, people are really looking to them to make a name for themselves, right?
Yeah, cause a scene.
Yeah. And then they start with a 3-1 loss to Toronto. Yeah. And I think the difficult part for Florida is their S&D needs to be amazing. When you look at last year, Skies, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, Skies actually in the whole league had the 3rd best KD in S&D, and Awakening had the 5th best KD in S&D. So clearly a normal strong suit. And then you fast forward to a brand new game. They bring in Neptune, they bring in Slack. They beat FaZe. What 2 game types do you think they beat them in? The S&D. Yeah. And then they play Toronto. Yeah. They go down 2-0. They win the control. If they win the S&D, they win this series. So I don't.
We sound like broken records as well. But we're going to be saying this much. It's so important though.
It's one of those things. You have to be good at every game mode. I certainly think that they can be good at respawns. I'll be honest. I think Slack needs to find his confidence back after being on Surge last year. I just think that he probably is struggling a little bit with his confidence, and the numbers kind of represent that. He plays a certain role on a team, and I'm aware of that. He's not going to be putting up the biggest stats every time. He's not Awakening on the roster, but their respawns really rely on him, in my opinion, and Skies, because Skies on the week 1 did not play well at all against Toronto. He was equally negative with Slacked, and he's supposed to be a little bit more of a main slayer, in my opinion, Skies. So got to win the S&Ds, and if they're gonna, they got a chance to beat every team. It's just a matter of whether or not they'll kind of clutch up and win the game types that they really need to.
Let's be real though. Okay, so based on who they have in this schedule, right? Mm-hmm. They want to at least go up 2-0 to start the week.
Need to.
Because then they phase up. They phase. Yeah. Look, you know what I'm thinking of. They face FaZe and OpTic at the end of their week, and you already know that these 2 matches are going to be pretty intense for them. It's 2 of the best we have in the league, and they've kind of cemented that already at the beginning. So that will be an interesting dynamic to kind of look at and to see how they kind of go against and fare against those teams. But that is saying, really we'll get a good picture of that if they do go up 2-0 at the start. Because if they don't, then it's kind of already written, isn't it?
Yeah, and because losing to Toronto is already somewhat of an upset. I wouldn't say it's a massive upset. Toronto has been really consistent, really solid. So I wouldn't say it's a massive upset, but they need to go 2-0 to begin the week. They need to beat LAG. And they need to, for the ranking sake of where people would mark them, they need to beat LAG. They need to beat Paris. But that LAG match, we'll see. Because LAG looks like they're really good at search and destroy. So...
Oh, they are.
Exactly. So then it's
Vivid.
like... Yeah.
I mean, we can get into... I'll probably touch on LAG a little bit later on in Vivid. But yeah, like one of the biggest things I think LAG has going for them is the fact that they can like top and tail the series because of their S&D game, and then their respawn hopefully will get better and better. But we'll talk about that when it comes to OpTic. One question I had for you before we move on to LAG and that lot is Neptune. Obviously, you know your boy, Neptune.
My boy Trav.
Obviously, big pickup for Mutineers, big pickup for him. And, first week, he had a fantastic kickoff classic. First week into it with his new team and in a huge league. What did you make of his gameplay?
I thought he played great, to be honest. And this isn't being biased. Like, I'm friends with Neptune, full disclaimer, right? He came from Halo. I'm happy I'm happy for him. But I thought he played great. He was pretty much positive or even through every game that they played. Skies and Slack both had a pretty rough series. Although Slack did actually, I think, get most kills or almost most kills in Game 3, which they won. So go figure. But I'm happy for him. I think what Ogre 2 is doing with Florida, Ogre 2, obviously Halo player, Tom. one of the GOATs, Tommy boy over there. Him coming on as the GM. I don't know how much influence GMs have 100% control over, but I mean, you have to think that they're somewhat influential, because the fact that now Tom has gone and gotten 2 Halo players, the first being Frosty, the second now being Neptune, he has to have some kind of control and say. It's probably different per team, but I love what he's doing. I think he put together a really great roster heading into it. Neptune it wasn't even a risky pickup, because he had played almost a whole year of search and destroy tournaments, and he was beating, Dashy, I'm trying to think of people like Dashy, Blast, like all these guys that are really known for their search and destroy game. He was hanging in there. They're playing wagers, betting money on each other. So awesome pickup. I think he did great, and hopefully they can turn it around and, he can start making a name for himself.
Yeah, definitely. He's a phenomenal player. Yeah. He honestly super young, super talented, and I think he's definitely going to be one to 18? Watch this season. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. 18? Like just on the cusp of being able to compete. But that's kind of what you want to see. I think in a league like this, you want to kind of have these young players who are really talented and then continue their career and just get better and better and turn into these incredible players and then veterans in their own right later on. Yeah. And they start to become these icons for other young players, and the cycle continues. I really love to see that and the growth of an esport. We got to talk about OpTic though. Yeah. This is where LAG will kind of feed into, because obviously OpTic, we want to focus on the S&D game. We said that in episode 1. It's so important. I feel like it's really letting them down in certain areas, and despite in other matches that we've seen them play, they have been phenomenal and they have been incredible, but there has been that slight lack of S&D, even in the matches that might have been a little bit easier for them. You still see the kind of bit of struggle that comes through with the S&D. So when they do face the bigger teams, it's so much harder because it's just not going to happen for them. So where are they at with it? Where do you think they need to go? And like how difficult do you think this really is going to be for OpTic if they can't quite get a grip on it?
Oh, I think if they don't put it together, I think it's going to be insanely difficult. To be a consistently winning team, I think you have to be pretty consistent across the board in every single game type. The thing that I like about OpTic, I think that last week was actually probably one of the best things that could have happened to them. We talked about the OpTic podcast last week. Again, we'll talk about it this week. They talked about their search and destroy game. They talked about FaZe and their search and destroy. And one of the things I like that Formal said, and this is that winning mentality that he has always had and he continues to have. He said it's almost a good thing that we lost this early on because it just showed like the weakness in our game because they got smoked on both S&Ds. They got smoked.
It was bad.
He said if we would have won 3-1 because they were seconds away, I think it was 2 seconds away from winning, it would have been really easy. And he said this to chalk it up as, oh, that game 2 is a fluke. But because they go to game 5 and they lose so terribly bad, it's like, okay, this is a real problem.
Yeah.
So I think they
wake up.
Yeah. So I think that losing to FaZe, I think actually, hopefully for them, will be one of the greatest things maybe for the season, because had they just cruised the whole way, the last thing you want to have them do if you're an OpTic fan is for them to go like, I don't know how many matches there are before the first major, but let's say go undefeated in the season, in the Pro League season, and then go to the major and they have this weakness of a game type, and all of a sudden at the major it all comes crumbling down, you know? So we'll see at the first major how much work they put in, because it's gonna be a long process to get there.
We'll definitely see it this Super Week as well. And if we know anything, and I know that you know the guys quite well, I know the guys quite well now, and I know that they're hard workers. Yeah. Like they will work on this, because if you had literally seen their faces, I don't know how much of it you watched in depth of the game. I know that you caught up on it. Yeah. But towards the end there, like it showed their face in that final game 5 between rounds, their face cams were showing. I have never seen a more like gutted and like upset face on every single one of them ever before on a face cam. Like I couldn't, they knew like 2 rounds in, their face said it all. They were like, yeah, this is over.
Well, they know that Respawn is their strong point. They probably were feeling a little bit demoralized with losing that game 4 that they could have and should have probably won.
I think Scump had already in his head lost it because he didn't have a fantastic
game 5.
First 3 games as well. It's hard.
Then you go to the game 5, you basically barely lose game 4, you go into game 5 and you're thinking in your head, oh, we're not good at this. Like it's there in their minds, but they just got to work at it. Like you said, they're really hard workers,
So hard,
so they got Sender over there as a coach. They got Hex, back with OG. I mean, there's no reason for them not to figure it out.
And they have such a good team dynamic. Like they get on so well. Yeah. It seems like they are gelling really nice as a team. And not only that, like obviously talking about what they're not good at isn't any kind of shade towards them. It's just about
they're one of the best.
Yeah, they are picking up on maybe what could make them even better. And like, let's be real though, the first few games we ever saw of OpTic were insane. Yeah. Like they were steamrolling through teams. I mean,
as they should.
Absolutely incredible.
That's what you expect to see from them, because that's how
they were riding that high, But I think
as what form
they were.
That's
vibing.
What everyone says.
They were vibing. Yeah. But like as Formal said, it's a wake up call for them. You can't just be incredible the whole season, because then when you do get to a road bump, excuse the truck that is just rolling outside, he's rolling on through on his whip. When you do get to a speed bump, it's dangerous because you've been so comfortable and you've never been out of that comfort zone and had to work on anything that much. And suddenly halfway through the season, when things start counting so much more and people are catching up to you, you might get thrown off the boat. And you don't want that.
You know what one of the hardest things with Search and Destroy, and I think this is why they have such a hard time with it, and Formal talked about this, pro players don't play it amongst each other. Like you don't get a search and destroy, I can't speak, a search and destroy scrim. Like it's all about piecing it together essentially without playing it. Or you're playing it, but maybe
strats and
because they don't want to give each other strats.
Yeah,
and so
you don't want to overplay a certain
So I think that's the really difficult part with Search being such a weak point, is because you're not getting that top level play. And pro players talk about all the time, scrims and league matches will be so different because people play very different when things are on the line. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do, maybe in a short amount of time with the Super Week. I think, honestly, them playing, I don't know how many matches they play this week. Do you know? It's a couple. I think it's like 2, right?
What, OpTic?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's 2 matches.
So many. Are you sure it's only 2? I think it's a bit more than that.
It might be more.
I think it's like 3 or 4.
I think them playing back to back to back like that, it would be a really beneficial thing for them, because they get the reps in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting as well because S&D is so personal. Like it really is like personal stats, like how well does your team do, like how good is somebody at doing this particular thing, or like you really have to take control of each individual person's skill and put it to the best use, and then also keep switching it up all the time, because you can't just use the same thing over and over again. You've got to change it up. So yeah, it's a really difficult thing to be super good at and to always be good at.
No snipers
right now. No snipers right now, which is...
I mean, they got two of the best snipers in the
know,
game.
And they can't
Formal
even use it.
Dashy,
Yeah, they can't even use it. Do you remember Dashy coming in to OpTic last season and just being ridiculous?
We'll start on Black Ops 4, you're saying?
Yeah.
When he first played for OpTic, I mean...
So, yeah, it's just ridiculous. But no, also, yes, Black Ops 4, but last season when Dashy was subbed in to OpTic.
Oh man, what a cool moment that was.
I didn't want to let you down there on that. I was like, yeah, that is true. But also last season, that was ridiculous. He just came on and just world starred everyone.
He has so many highlights, it's hard to keep track.
I know. He's a very talented player. But that brings us on to, looking at where they're at with their S&D game and who they're going to be facing. Obviously, LAG is one of those. And they do have an incredible S&D player in Vivid who literally last week, his stats were ridiculous.
Yeah.
He was pulling 10 for 4.
Oh, wow.
His KD was 2.5. It was ridiculous. It was silly. And he didn't let them down in any game. They only lost one S&D game, I think, since starting the season. I can't remember exactly who that was against, but I know that they lost it, and his stats were still pretty good.
Yeah. He's a good S&D player.
He's so good.
Yeah. Do they play each other? OpTic and LAG?
Do they play each other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're in the same pool.
Yeah, they play each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vivid. Didn't he set the kill record?
Yeah, he set the kill record
Search and Destroy?
in Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty sure it's Modern Warfare. 20 kills.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think it's 20. Stupid.
20 kills in an S&D.
Just
most
free,
players are just thinking, let me not goose and
let's just go
get
home.
0.
We're over. Have it, Vivid. Yeah. Just go away. Don't embarrass me. It's pretty impressive. So, and they, I've spoke to Apathy as well. Mm-hmm. And they've been really, really working on S&D because they can tell they're good at it. So why not finesse it even more so? And it's been something that they've been focusing on. And you know what? They played quite a few S&D tournaments before the season even started, and one majority came second in a handful, but never lower placement than that. They have been putting in a lot of practice, and then also putting it to the test, which has been really interesting in amateur tournaments. So that's really fun. I think that's a really cool thing to do as a team, to really test the waters and see how good is it, because you said scrims just don't happen.
So I think what LAG is doing that I'm a big fan of is they're playing to their strengths. Yeah. They realize Search and Destroy is a great game type for them, and they're kind of doubling down on the fact that they can beat any team in that game mode. When they play against FaZe, when they play against OpTic, if they can go 2-0 in S&D, all they got to do is somehow get one respawn off of your Empires, your FaZes, your OpTic. Your Search and Destroy is really strong. You win the series, and we're going to keep saying that throughout the whole season because it's it's a true stat. So I think that's the cool thing about them. We'll see how it plays out for the year. Obviously, every team is amazing, so it's tough to be oh, they're really good at S&D, and then they could just lose it to anybody.
It's true. That is true. I guess their track record so far and just how good their players are being at the moment is it's a nice little tell, at least for the time being. You're not that kind of worried about it as you would be with OpTic, obviously. But yeah, it's exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing who comes out on top and who does what, and which team's good at what and what they're not good at.
The first major is gonna be so cool. The league matches leading up to it are obviously amazing. It's great to be able to rank teams, but once you get to that first major, I can't wait. That's where it's gonna be okay, now's the time.
The next team I think we should touch upon is LA Thieves, because obviously Thieves are back in town.
They back.
Yeah, hold on to your wallets. They're robbing people of games at the moment. Doing really, really well. And right now with the schedule and what it looks like, how confident are you feeling with this team potentially this week walking away with 4-1 or maybe 5-0?
Yeah, well, so basically I think they'll go 4-0, and then their last match is versus Empire. And I would normally be okay, great start for Thieves. They're going to go 4-1. What an amazing start. Going into it, I honestly was being I don't know what I think of this team.
Kind of got to see.
Yeah, because they didn't have that success in MW, but they stuck. 3/4 of them stuck.
Yes.
So
that's kind of worrying, isn't it? When you look at them, it didn't work before, and it's well, was it something else, or was it the team?
The problem with them sticking when they didn't have success is because if they didn't start the season 2-0, what are the vibes like on the team? Is it just oh no, this isn't working again, you know. But because they went 2-0, I think they're going to have that swagger to them. I think they're going to go 4-0, and they're playing Empire, and I think they'll go 4-1 because I'll always give Empire the benefit of the doubt. But Rocker beat Empire, and man, what a start to be. You know, Nade Shot, LA Thieves back in town, back in Call of Duty, start 5-0. I mean,
I think,
and the best team in the pool, probably, if they win that.
Very true. I think that would cement so much for them, and the confidence it would give them too if they could 5. I mean, it's a nice number, isn't it? Just talking back about LA Thieves and kind of last season and kind of maybe what went wrong. Something I wanted to talk about in broadcast that we'd spoken about in the morning previous to broadcast was Slasher and, you know, how comfortable he's feeling now. And it's something I tried to get across to him in an interview without like really poking the bear about it, because I want to be respectful.
Gotta be careful.
But I also wanted to say like how much of it was that you literally just weren't allowed to do whatever you wanted to do in your role that you really wanted, and you had to kind of accommodate for everyone else. But that's something I couldn't really say. I just kind of asked him like, how does he feel now being on the team, and you know, how is it, you know, how are they vibing? What are the roles like? Because, you know, we were talking about it that morning, and, you know, we said Slasher like wasn't able to kind of fill the boots that he would have wanted to. You know, there was way too many ARs on the team, and it just wasn't working out, and roles had to be swapped, and kind of people kind of just had to rely on others to get the job done when maybe they wanted to do that themselves. So how much controversy do you think that would have caused in the team itself? Like knowing like, oh, I could have done a better job. Like personally, you might have thought that, or you know what I mean?
I think they struggled with it a lot. Like last year, it's kind of publicized now. It's not a secret.
Yeah.
They struggled a lot with Dashi, because Dashi, I still to this day don't fully understand, but Dashi for whatever reason was like really hard stuck that he wanted to be an AR player.
Yeah.
And I don't personally get it, because I think Dashi is one of the most like individual skilled players, like period. I think he could play any play style, use any gun, and he's going to fry. Slasher has cemented himself as one of, if not the best ARs in Call of Duty.
Yes.
Across every game now, he's consistently at the top in the AR category. So can't really argue it.
Yeah.
But I think he just has a very winning mentality, where I think he took it on himself, like, I'll do whatever it takes. And I get it, because that's what you want of a teammate, but they just weren't playing to their strengths. And that's where I think it was the last LAN event, the LA event. I think it was the OpTic LA event, wasn't it?
Yes.
Where they actually swapped roles again. Dasher was still on the team. Mm-hmm. Slasher goes back to AR. And you remember how good they were at that LA event. Like, I think they got like top, well, they didn't, there wasn't like, there was kind of placing. They got like top 4.
It was the time that they actually, suddenly we were all like, oh okay, they actually can play.
Yeah, and nice. It was because of that role switch.
Yeah.
And then obviously stuff ended up not working out. Dasher gets benched for Draza, right?
Yeah, Draza.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it just shows how big of a factor roles can be. And yeah, it's what you said. You know, I don't know if did you get anything out of that interview, or did he not really?
I did a little bit. He kind of just said like, we're all just really happy with like what we're doing, and how, you know, how our team is working, the dynamic in the team. And it, like from what he said in like a very nice kind of dulled down way, he kind of just said that things are very different from last year.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what they want to do. Everyone knows what we're supposed to be doing, and it's working. So I was like, that's good for me.
Well, I saw a clip from CDL, and it was when they interviewed Temp, and Temp in the interview was like, you know what I'm talking about? In this like piece of content, he was saying, you know, I'll run smokes, I'll run trophies, I'll do, and I think that is
like ultimate team player.
Yeah, and I don't think he's necessarily always been considered that, but I think going into the season, that mindset is like what those core 3 needed. They just needed someone who's going to be, you know, shoot laser beams and be like, I'll do what Slasher tells me to do, because Slasher's an IGL, and he's always been one of the most vocal people in Call of Duty, whether it's the good stuff or the bad stuff, always been one of the most vocal people. So having someone come in like that, you know, hopefully Temp sticks to that mindset, and we'll see. We'll see where it takes them.
I think this is the big difference for them this year. Not only are they more comfortable, I think, with where they are at in terms of the org, because I think that they are very passionate about who they're playing for now, and I think that's a big thing too. But also, you don't want a team that's made up of 4 individual people. You want a 4-man team. Yeah. That's what you want. You don't want different people doing different things and not really actually thinking about the overall consensus of the group and actually all together fighting for one purpose, which is to win. That's what you want. You don't want a team that is just out there to do individual things and prove themselves individually, because you're not going to win like that. And I think that's where Empire have it really down really nicely.
100%.
They play to each other's strengths,
100%.
which is great. So
those guys are ahead of their years. You know, they got Illy, Shotzi, and Hugh, all really young players,
but way ahead
of their years. Because it takes players, usually players becoming professional. It takes them a little bit. It takes them a little bit to piece together, like, okay, it's not just about me, it's about us, and it's about our team, and it's about our org and what we're doing. And I mean, you've talked to the Empire guys plenty. I mean, you would say that every day. You'd say they're a core group of guys. They love playing together, and they'll all do anything, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would. Yeah, it's they've got something very different. But I think a lot of the teams this season, I think the reason why the bar is so high competitively is because a lot of teams actually are forming that, and I think have got it right this season, because obviously they've tried it. 4v4, they've tried it out. One less person to have to like worry about in terms of like, what are they going to do? Like, is everyone comfortable and happy? You know, it can be really hard, and you've got to think carefully about teams and who you're bringing on, especially as an org. Who do you want to pick up? Who is going to work with your players? Your players happy with that decision, or is that now cutting out someone else's role? And I think orgs have really learned from last season, and I think that is why we're seeing some really hot competition coming into season 2. So let's see how this Super Week plays out, and we'll definitely update you guys on our thoughts.
I already can't wait for next week to like talk about it all.
I know, I'm so excited. I know. So obviously Call of Duty, it's been a blast talking about it, but we can't talk too much about it. We haven't seen anything yet. Halo though. So Halo has been happening. We've had another tournament, been and gone, and another champ for you under your belt. So fantastic stuff. Congratulations, babe.
Thank you.
Really proud of you.
Thanks.
Very, very proud. Especially proud. Game 5 grand finals, where you made them quit out.
Game 2.
Oh, was it game 2?
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't game 5.
No, it was game 2.
Oh, it was game 2, and they quit.
Yeah, it was still up 2-0. We were up.
Wait, hold the phone. I thought it was game 5, and I was like, oh, it's not that bad then.
No,
they quit out game 2.
Yeah, it was Construct Team Slayer. We're up, I think, like 20 kills, and
what?
I went back and watched it from their POV. They were like,
what did they say?
We should just end this. And then like I went and got like a triple with a snipe, and they were like, yeah, let's end it.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. So how did it play out for the rest of that then?
What?
That was it?
Yeah, so they just
forfeit.
Yeah, they just
no,
forfeit the
so they
game.
didn't even play game 3.
No, we played game 3.
Right.
You just forfeit game 2. Like they ended at game 2.
Oh, so you played game 3.
Yeah. So they won.
How was game 3?
Yeah, they won. It was fun.
Oh, they won game 3. What?
Yeah, the game's
this is
like
a roller coaster of emotions right now.
Yeah, but it's because like it's just the
so
way
you won
the way
3-1.
stuff. Yeah, the way stuff is now. Everyone's a team, but not really a team, you know? So it's like, if you
just shooketh me on podcast,
I
thanks.
know, but when you lose, like nowadays, because of where Halo competition's at, it's just like we talked about it last week, right? There's that care, but so when they lose game 2 really badly, they're just like,
I thought that was like a big no-no in a tournament though. Like, you're not allowed to do that.
Oh, we got in trouble. We got like not yelled at, but people had a big problem with us doing the same thing.
I know, but you did it to end a series.
Yeah, it was game 5. We were down.
Exactly.
They
did it in game 2
they
when
needed like 4 kills to
literally
win.
you can bounce back. Yeah. And I need like.
I mean, I don't like as a competitor. I don't care personally.
Yeah, I don't know.
As a spectator,
that's not great.
Yeah,
you kind of want to see it happen and unfold. But anyway.
Well, because people said the same thing about us, about like, oh, you shouldn't have left. Because
but game 2 though, game 2.
It's the same thing.
Game 2, people, come on.
Same thing. Game
Let
2.
Me know what you guys
game 2,
think.
Game 5, same thing.
That is not the same thing. Game 2 is not the same thing as game 5.
Okay, but see, this is in Team Slayer.
Yeah.
Like, because especially on older Halos, if it was like at a live event on Halo Infinite, I would never ever quit.
They just didn't want you to get a clip, that's all.
I already got it, so it didn't matter.
They didn't want the clip to extend.
But because we're playing old Halos, it's like it's just to not prolong the series. It's like, we know we lost this game, let's get on to the next one.
I know, but there's like a level of like professionalism about it. Like, for example, like if I'm playing sport, I'm not just gonna go, there's only like 15 minutes left of this game, let's chalk it up, I'm walking off the pitch. Like, you just don't do that. Like, I just don't put my stick down and go, see everyone, thanks so much, bye, thanks ref, thank you. Like, you just don't do that.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't care.
You were just like, yeah, need to eat.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting on to be like midnight. So where it was like midnight when we were playing.
Do
so
you
I was
guys
like,
understand what I'm saying though? Like
I
there
get
is
what
a level
I
of
get
like,
what you mean.
oh,
I get what
don't
you
know,
mean,
just
for
a little
sure.
bit like immature about it. And I'm not calling you immature because I know you guys did it.
Yeah.
Which, can I just say, it was a little immature. And I did tell you that afterwards. I said,
Yeah,
you
it
shouldn't
was
have
a
done
bad
that.
time.
It was not great. But I also understand that the frustration about, you know, replaying old games and like, it's just like, it's just a headache for you. I understand. And, you know, when things are going wrong, I understand that. But it's also just a level of like, just get on with it.
Yeah, well, that I would never, like, I wish I could take back when we did
Doing
that,
that,
especially
yeah.
if I knew people were going to be so upset about it, because I have, you know, we've lost plenty of tournaments. It was in the finals.
Well, people look up to you. I think that's what it is.
But, and I've said this before, like, I let kind of a couple weeks go by before I said anything, and someone had to bring it up again, and I don't want to, like, make this, you know, not negative, but sad on the podcast. But at the time that it happened, my grandfather was close to passing away, obviously. And as soon, if you remember, we played in the tournament, and as soon as it was over, it was like we had to go see him because we didn't know how long he had. So it goes game 5. Team Slayers are just such a snowball fest sometimes. We know we lost the game. It's just a matter of like them literally killing us another like 6 times.
Yeah.
And like I think like I don't know if it was even me or who. I think someone else said, let's just end it because we know we lost. And then I was like, yeah, just end it. You know, but I would.
APG? Didn't he say let's just end this?
Yeah, I think it was APG, but it doesn't matter.
I think
we
it's a
shouldn't
level
have.
of
We shouldn't have.
understanding
We
there,
shouldn't
like
have done
from you
it.
guys. Like I do understand that you're so. I think it's very different from ending at game 2 and ending at game 5 where you're literally it's over. I understand that.
I will say, even though like that's a sad story, we are guilty of doing it in the past because in the past we would be losing in a Slayer in a scrim, and we'd end it, and the other team would get mad that we ended it, but we're like, it's a scrim, like, you know, don't, like, we know we lost
until you then in scrim, because obviously scrim's practice, then you put it into play in real life.
Well, the funny part is though, because like I'll just say like kind of quickly this story, Reciprocity back in 2018 when you remember that, the Reciprocity team, we did that all the time in scrims. We'd be losing like a Kali Slayer. We hated the game type. We'd be losing by 10. We're just like, just end it. Let's get on to the next one. And they got really mad because they're like, you know, we're practicing our setups and whatever. And, you know, we're like, we're at the end of the game's life cycle at that point. So we're like, yeah, like, shut up, Eric. You know. And
sorry, Eric.
Yeah, no offense, Eric. But then when we played in 2018, we actually had a scenario where we were down like 10 in the tournament. And you can, at a live event, you don't do that. Period. But we actually came back and won. And after the series, we thought it was the funniest thing in the world. That like,
why were you tempted to end it?
No, at a tournament we never would end it. But we were down 10, and we came back. So it was funny that the scenario was we wouldn't play out the games and like let them win in the scrim. Yeah. But then in the tournament, we did the comeback.
You actually came back. Yeah. Surprise.
That's why we didn't let you practice your setups.
It's all tactical in the scrim.
Exactly. Showing my secrets.
The real secret of a champion right there.
No, don't do that.
Super interesting. I also have a bit of an interesting topic for everybody this week as well that I have been desperate to talk about because it's something we talk about quite often because this topic is brought up all the time, everywhere, in every game, literally every corner, even I would say traditional sport as well. But I also think in traditional sport it's a little bit more... I would say like the lines of how to describe this or when you're judging this thing that I'm about to talk about, it's a little bit more obvious than in esports, I think. Because esports, I think, is still growing and we're still learning about, you know, different aspects of it and what makes everybody really good at what they do and who is really good at what they do, which is being a GOAT. Yeah. Now... For everybody who isn't an esports fan, a GOAT is not the animal, even though we do use the animal emoji online a lot. It actually stands for the greatest of all time. That phrase very recently, I think, has been thrown around so much. I mean, I throw it around a lot to people that I do think do deserve it in their own field. But it is still wildly used, and I think sometimes unnecessarily so, to the point where I think it's kind of lost its meaning 100%, and touch.
100% has lost its meaning.
And I think especially in Halo, there is so often conversations that are had about the greatest of all time in terms of teams and what that means. And obviously, we speak about this a lot because I think different people have different ideas of what greatest of all time means. Yeah. Some people think it's to do with, you know, how many wins you've had, how many accolades you've got as a team or as an individual, how good you are, a certain number of years that don't count because of replayed games, or there's so many different twists and turns for different people and different individuals. So it makes it really hard to actually measure the true meaning of it. So I'm very curious to know what your true meaning and measurement is of greatest of all time when it comes to teams, and we'll talk about individuals after that.
Yeah, so when it comes to teams, I think the only two like metrics is like longevity and wins, I guess, and consistency. So I guess 3. But this conversation is always so difficult because everyone has so many different things that they contribute to that list. And I always say it in my stream all the time or social media when people talk to me. It's like, rather than the question be like, who's the GOAT? It's just who's your GOAT?
Your GOAT.
Because it's so much about era and time period. And in gaming, I think the hardest part is you're playing different games. It's not, if you're comparing traditional sport, NBA, NFL, stuff like that, overall, some rule changes and stuff, but same game. So, yeah, for me, I think when you're talking about team, it's definitely those 3 categories, but it's just all about what time period you're growing up in, I feel like.
I think also another thing that people think of as well for them is like how old they are.
Yeah.
So I feel like that really kind of affects people's opinion on it.
100%.
Because if they were around for like the final boss days, and they think that the level of Halo back there is completely different from the level of Halo right now, and that's actually completely different, so therefore the level of Halo now doesn't count, because back then it would have been much harder, because teams and players right now find it a lot easier because they've learned from the past and blah 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 blah. There's so many different routes that you hear in explanations based on why people choose certain teams.
Loopholes and rabbit
there
holes
is,
you can go down.
And because of the different games. But the reality is everything is ever changing and growing. Look at the Olympics, for example. Let's just base this on traditional sports too, because I think there is a good kind of comparison here. The times for the 100-meter sprint back in God knows when, like years and years and years and years ago, I'm talking like tens of years ago, were so much slower than they are now, because things have evolved, people have adapted, we've got stronger, we've got taller, we've got there's so many different things that have changed over time, and people learn how to be better, and that is just normal. And without that, there would be no evolution of different industries and things. There would be no benefit of doing things and learning and growing. We talk about growing all the time as people and as industries and as businesses, because that ideally is our goal, isn't it? And we talk about that with young talent as well that come through esports too. And that's a prime example of it. But you can't say that, Usain Bolt isn't the GOAT of the 100-meter sprint. He's not the fastest man alive, because back then they didn't have weights like we have. They didn't have the nutrition and the physios and this to really like look after your body, and the different chambers for freezing your body to temperatures to help it recover faster and all sorts of stuff like that. You can't. Yeah. I find it hard to say that he's not the best, just because of a comparison to the older days.
I can use like a gaming reference here. So basically, when people bring up this topic, I always say, like, I'll listen to a few names, and if you mention a few of those names, I'm like, yeah, like, you're in the rough. I don't have a personal opinion, because I'm like, there's so many people.
Well, you're in it, so it's difficult. You could potentially be an opinion, so it's hard for you to be one.
But put me into that category when I'm done. Yeah. When I finish, let's go ahead and I can rank myself, or let other people rank me. Like, we're still going and playing in so many tournaments that the ranking is always evolving, right? But one of the biggest arguments that I see people make, and understandably so, because he's one of my idols, like growing up, Ogre 2. I think Ogre 2 is like 40 something event wins, or maybe it's like north of 30, I'm not sure. But it's always funny when like people will talk about like TJ or like Lethal being the GOAT, or some people say me, whatever. Snipe down Ola, like a couple different people, right? And the category people always go to is the win category. And again, that's
how many wins
you have. And understandably so, because again, that's a major category. How many wins do you have? But at the same time, this is why it's so hard to argue stuff, because when someone just says that he has the most wins, he's the best. Or it could be about anyone, but let's say the win category for Halo. But like Lethal or our team doesn't have the opportunity to plan as many events as they did back in the 05 or 04, I think, to like 07. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like
to
catch that number is so difficult. Even Krim, who I think now has like 30 events or 30 event wins, I'm pretty sure, something like that. I remember like we were both on OpTic at the same time, and OpTic won like back to back 3 weeks in a row. They traveled for a tournament and went and won it. Halo just doesn't have that. We won in our span of 2016. We won regionals. 3 months later was Worlds or something like that, like about 3. Oh no, I think actually it might have been like a month between regionals and Worlds. So we won 2 events in a month.
Right.
We didn't play another live event for 7 months.
Yeah.
So we were the best team
Long.
in the game, and like throughout the whole time period, we're still 13-0ing everybody, and we go to the next event. I think we dropped 1 map or 2 maps at the next event, and I think we won the next one after that too, which was another 3 months after that. So it's where it's just all about numbers and statistics, and there's so many different factors that you really need to go into, which is why the conversation is so difficult.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Do you keep up with how many event wins you guys have had as a team?
I have no idea. Because, it's just too much. It's too much to focus on. I'm really proud of a couple of achievements that we've made through it. I have like a rough estimate. Like I think it was probably above 15, maybe somewhere.
As a team?
Yeah, something like that.
Is it not more than that? Event wins?
We just didn't have events.
Just didn't have that many. Yeah. Okay. It's interesting because it feels like so much more than that.
Well, because it feels like that because we were the best team for, let's say, 2.5 years because of the splice period. We were the best team for 2.5 years. I think, we played in 11 events and won.
I've even heard people talk about Splice like the GOAT team because they took you down.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not even how.
But that's a perfect example. That's a perfect example of time periods and stuff like that. People will be like best player in Halo 5.
Yeah.
And people will put Shotzzy. And again, I get it because he won 2018 Worlds and he was one of the most innovative players you've seen. But like, if you're going to be 100% real and be like, who is the best player in Halo 5? Then you have to factor in 2016 through 2018, not just 2018.
Yeah.
So if you say who's the best player at the end of Halo 5, then
Shotzzy.
Go ahead, say Shotzzy. I think you could argue anyone on Splice, anyone on our team.
But then you look at people like Frosty, a lot of the boys on your team.
I think who's the best player in Halo 5 at the end, you can name anyone on Splice, anyone on our team. And I'm like, I get that. Yeah,
and then I also think there's also another argument in there somewhere for the homies that believe this too, because your opinion is your opinion.
Yeah.
It's not wrong and it's not right to everyone, but look, it's your opinion and that is absolutely fine and you can have it, keep it, no problem. But I think there's also like funny things that go with it that kind of counter other people's opinions. Like, for example, what makes an incredible player? Is it the fact that they're super flashy, or is it the fact that they are a really good team player and actually what they do, actually makes their team win? Not just the flashiness, but the people that put in the hard work and the grind. I mean, non-biased, but I think you're one of those people. So I think for maybe a few people out there as well, you might be their GOAT of whatever game that they want to talk about, Halo 5, Halo 3, whatever it is, because you bring a different type of gameplay to the table that is, it's really needed to win a game. But then there is the flashy plays that just like make you fall back in your chair that, are delivered by the likes of Frosty and Shotzzy and all sorts of people. To be honest, I've seen you do it. You did it the other day where you got the 3-piece. It was great.
Yeah. I think the thing with but
it's like your measurement. What is your personal preference?
It's all about personal opinion. And the problem with this conversation always is when people say their opinion, they don't want to be told otherwise.
No, they don't. I'm right.
No, I'm right. That person's it, and that's it. Where I think I have a little bit of a different outlook with my approach of being like, I can understand why you would think a couple different people, and I'll just let you have that opinion.
Yeah.
I don't argue with you and say, no, you're wrong. It's this person.
And I think a lot of people who do get in those arguments, let it go because it's their opinion. It's what they think. It's what they love. It's what they're passionate about. That's fine. But I think people who do have an opinion need to understand it might not be everyone's cup of tea either. So just to, also be open to others as well. But it is a very interesting topic with how diverse that thought process is.
It's a fun debate. You see it across everything. It's a fun debate. I get it. I do.
How many people do you get in the stream come in and talk about that?
It's every day.
Yeah.
It's every day. If you're one of the regulars of my stream, you know, I have a command when you type the word goat, you know, you have like a bot. A night bot pops up and says, shut up. Because
I saw that. I was like,
it's every day. But I get it.
I know. I really wanted to make him. I make his Twitch emotes. I really wanted to make a goat emote.
No.
But he would not let me.
No.
And it's for this very reason, because first of all, he's very humble. And second of all, I think it is based on the fact that goat means so many different things. And I think right now to you, it probably is based on just the animal at the moment, because goat's so
I had
so
someone
hard
come
to
into my stream the other day,
understand.
and this is no disrespect to Dashy.
Yeah.
But he said, well, I was talking about OpTic. Like, we were talking about Call of Duty match. And he said, oh, Dashy's the GOAT. And I was like, dude, oh, man. I was like, that word,
it triggers you.
It does, because it's like, it's no disrespect to Dashy, but then it's like, you know, clearly, if you're talking Call of Duty ranking and all that stuff, you can't ever put Dashy above Formal or above Scump, right? So that's why that word is so overused. And so, oh, man, just, we got to come up with new terms in the gaming scene.
Yeah, or everyone's just a goat. Everyone, you're all goats. All of you watching, we appreciate you, greatest of all time viewers.
You're the goats.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I think it will slowly start
that
to
happened the
fizzle
other day.
out.
I joined an eights call. Eights is like random teams. You bet money, and I don't know who said it. And I joined the call. It was like the whole lobby joins one Discord.
Yeah.
And one of the players just goes, a bunch of goats in here or something like that. And I was like on stream, and I just I think I just like face palmed, like, oh my god,
where's the shepherd?
Yeah.
Very very, very interesting. You know, somebody referred to you the other day, like somebody was tweeting at me, and you know, the casual like trying to hit on me or something, and somebody said, you don't know that she dates Goat Bite?
Goat Bite.
I was like, yeah. I like it when anyone gasses you up. It makes me happy. But yeah, I like, it's funny. I read it and I thought to myself, oh, he'd be face palming right now.
Yeah.
He'd be like, no, it's snake bite.
I would.
Switch the animals, please.
Yeah.
But no, hey, look, there's a lot of people that look up to you. There's a lot of people that look up to others who have achieved so much, and that's fair enough. But it's very difficult sometimes when the conversation's taken pretty seriously and people do debate it in a serious way. Talking about, though, incredible players across all platforms and all esports, I gotta say, Halo seems to produce players that can be very flexible when it comes to different esports and competing. Obviously, we've seen quite a few Halo players head over to Call of Duty in the past years and recent years. We got the likes of Enable, Formal. I mean, you could name so many. And then obviously we got the young gun, Shotzi, who made his debut last season. We got Neptune headed over this season. But I mean, let's be honest, they all make it to the top.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the transfers have made it so high up and had fantastic careers in Call of Duty and other esports. So do you think there's something special about Halo and the dynamic of that game that allows these players to really kind of get welcomed into in terms of their talents and their skill level, but get welcomed into the likes of Call of Duty and the way that game plays?
Yes and no, because I definitely think that Halo helps players build fundamentals, and the time to kill being a little bit longer. You have to learn to play your life a little bit better. Communication has to be a little more...
Something I'm not good at.
So communication has to be a little more spot on. You're good.
Throwing myself at people. Have it!
No. You're good. You play your life pretty well. You take gunfights.
My movement's terrible. Oh yeah, I'll chow anytime. Anytime. I'm there. But my movement's not good.
When we played H2 doubles, you were really starting to get it down.
I nearly killed you quite a few times on 1v1 though when we'd warm up. Was that annoying?
I wouldn't lie about it on podcast, but...
Was that annoying?
No, you're lying on podcast, not me. Yeah, I didn't... What?
What?
You almost killed me?
Yeah. I had you one shot. Shield was gone, bro.
I think you actually did get close to killing me.
You were flashing.
Because, okay, but I said
many times.
I told you, your shot is actually really good. So, of course, you're going to get close to killing me. Gas yourself up a little bit.
I know.
I'll gas you up, don't worry.
No, my movement's terrible, though. It's actually...
You just walk in
doesn't matter how good... Yeah, I'm just...
No straight.
Just straight line.
Yeah.
No strafing, nothing. It was... Yeah, it's bad. I can barely whip around.
The whole comparison, though, with like Halo players going to Call of Duty stuff, I think Halo does provide a little bit of good fundamentals, taking you into other games. you know, there's a lot of examples of it. You look at Ninja going over Fortnite.
Yes.
I mean, just PC games in general. Ninja, I mean, it's funny because his playstyle that he has in other games is very much his Halo playstyle.
Yeah.
Really aggressive, like, you know. But yeah, I just think that Halo just teaches players, I think, and when you make it to a top level in Halo, you have to have those fundamentals down compared to maybe some players in Call of Duty, like young players in Call of Duty can rely a little bit more on solely gun skill. Like I remember like Crimsix talking about why his team communicates so well. And he's like, well, 3/4 of us have came from Halo. Not necessarily came from Halo, but at one point played professional Halo. Because at Crim, I think he went from Halo to Call of Duty, but I think he went Call of Duty to Halo.
Yeah,
back.
it was like
and
a quick
same thing.
transition.
Yeah, same thing with Hugh.
Oh yeah, Hugh.
Yeah, so he was a Call of Duty pro first.
Yeah.
So I think like Halo players do transition well, but at the same time, I wouldn't say every player can do it.
Yeah.
I think it's a natural ability, and most of the players that are switching have the natural ability, the work ethic, and like just this perfect combination of what makes them a good player and like quick learners. The average Halo player who's in the top 6 isn't going to Call of Duty and, you know, making it in. I think the guys at the top, the guys at the top like Shotzi, Renegade, my team, right? The people who've been placing consistently at the top for a long time. I think that like if we tried to transition, I wouldn't say that we would succeed, but we have a one-up advantage having had those fundamentals and played at such a high level for so long.
You feel like you could have transitioned to COD? You'd wanted to at one point, a long time ago. Do you think you could have done it successfully to like where? I
know I could have done it.
Yeah.
I don't mean that in a like big ego
we know.
way.
Don't worry.
I just feel like I made it to the top 16 with just Halo players back when I was like 18 or 19, I think. And had I taken a couple of the offers that I gotten, I think teaming with Call of Duty players would have just excelled me so much. I had a pretty good like performance in Call of Duty Ghost when I tried switching. And I mean, I set the kill record. I don't know if it stayed, but we played against TK.
Yeah.
Our team, Final Boss, our Call of Duty team, played against TK, who had Formula on it, funny enough, who I'm good friends with. Probably how it got to scrim, because we shouldn't have been scrimming them. And I set the kill record for the time being. I don't know if it stuck. The kill record in like a side of domination. Yeah. And it's like when players do stuff like that, you can kind of be like, okay, like there's something there. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
But I just I didn't network properly. Networking's never been my thing. I'm very, and you know this, and most people watching probably know this, I keep a closed circle and don't want to talk to many people. I've gotten better at it, but I think I could have. And again, when I say I could have, I'm not saying, oh, I'd go be the best player. I think that like I could 100% be on the last place team in the league, you know, and perform perfectly fine to be a league player.
Well, I mean, I know you're mad talented, so, and I also know that anything you put your mind to, you tend to want to be the best at and really work at it. Like, I think that's the difference between you and a lot of other people is that, and I'm not just talking about esports, I'm just talking the world generally. Yeah. But like you,
golf,
got anything, like anything that you want to pick up, you literally will just talk about the podcast, but you'll grind until you are good at it, until you are good enough for you.
It's an obsession.
It is an obsession, but I think that's what makes you so brilliant at everything. So I think you would have transitioned great. I think you would have made a fantastic Call of Duty like pro player.
It's why I didn't play in Challengers this year. I was planning on it, and then I really thought about it. I talked to you obviously, and I was like, I initially said
go for it.
Well, you remember I was talking to you about it, and I was like, you know, we're signed.
You made your announcement.
We're signed. So we're signed for Halo Infinite under Sentinels, and I am 100% looking forward to playing Halo Infinite. I love my team. That's where I want to be. Right? That's where I want to play with. But obviously, I want to play at a really high level in a new game. I just want that experience of learning a new game again. And I love that about Call of Duty. Every year, learn something different. And I put out a tweet that I was going to play in Challengers. And when I talked to you about it, I was like, I'm just going to try to win the Challenger stuff. Like, I'm not going to try to make the league or anything like that. And then you remember I went to you like a week later and I was like, I'd be trying to make the league. Like I couldn't play in it and not be like, I'm better than X pro player. Like, let me in.
Yeah, I know. And it's hard, but that's like, I think that's the mentality of a lot of people because, and you also can see the people who from Halo who have come before you and who have made it to the top of, you know, the league and been there and done that. And then you've got you, who's one of the greatest Halo players that we have currently on the greatest team we have currently. and it'd be difficult. And not even just for your ego, but I think for your mentality playing too, because you just want to play at a level that you're used to, and the competition and stuff. Even though challenges, honestly, is great competition.
It would be hard. I'm not saying
a lot of the challenges players came in last season as subs and blew us out of the water. Like, it was unbelievable. They were the game changers, honestly, of last season for some of our teams. And I mean, I think you would have excelled so well in challenges. And I also think challenges is such a great platform for players to go to and to get noticed. And I mean, look at last season. It's proved my point.
Yeah.
You know, they get used, you get picked up, you get noticed. So
I think it's challengers. I think the whole league format, obviously we won't talk about it too much, but I love the whole league format. I love what they're doing with challengers. I think they're investing even more into challengers this year. Because AM players and AM teams can often get overlooked, because at the end of the day, the top 8 is usually, if you go to an open event, right, the top 8 is usually the top 8. Like, it doesn't really shuffle around too much. Like, you know, who got 7th last event might get 4th. But overall, it's really hard to break into that top 8. Where now with the challenger stuff, you're able to pay attention to who's doing consistently better than everybody else, all the other amateur players. And, you know, you're a last place team in the league. You got to spice it up. You got to switch it up. You bring in one of those players and boom, all of a sudden everything's clicking. And it's a great opportunity, because it doesn't happen often. But then now in Call of Duty, I feel like it's happening more and more, where subs were used a decent amount last year. New talent is coming in, and, you know, credit to them. Yeah, definitely major credit to them. I'm excited to see, you know, what challenges is going to produce for us this season too, and like what really cool incredibly talented players will come up through challenges and kind of take the world by storm in the Call of Duty League. I think that's going to be amazing to watch and see unfold. And obviously challenges is also a show in itself every single week as well. Every time that we have Call of Duty League on. Weekly tournaments. Yeah, which is absolutely phenomenal. With an incredible bunch of talent as well heading that up too. It's wicked, absolutely wicked. So if you're into that kind of thing and you want to see young superstars at their prime and watch them from the beginning and follow them, great place to go do it is Call of Duty League challenges. I absolutely love that. I think it could be about time we round things off, you know. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's been a fun episode. It has been a fun episode. We covered a lot of topics. Yeah, we did. We actually did cover a lot of topics, some very interesting ones. I know we could, but the thing is, we've got to save it for next week. I know. We've got to talk about Beanbox's coffee. So the Kuma coffee, obviously, like we said before, very floral. It was very light, I found. What did you think of it, sipping through? Yeah, I thought it's really good. It's a light roast coffee, a little bit on the fruitier side. Like I like more of a dark roast, but honestly, if you like light roast, I think we kind of said it last week, but the opposite. If you like a dark roast coffee, it's gonna be really good. For this one, light roast coffee, it's honestly really enjoyable. It's different. It's very different. You know what I'd say I'd really enjoy this is on a really hot summer's day. Yeah. It may be an iced as well. And I think this would be really nice black as well. I think a black coffee iced. Because it's got a strong It does have a flavor. It has a strong flavor, but I also don't think it's like, it wouldn't knock your socks off if you drank it black without any kind of milk or dairy or, you know, dairy alternative. I think it would be really, it tastes really nice. I think if you were into black coffee, I think this is a really nice one. Or if you want to start drinking black coffee, I think this is also a really good way to start it as well. But it is very floral, I would say. But it's really nice. It's very different. That's a problem that people have a lot when they start to try to only drink black coffee. It's too strong. Yeah. Right? Isn't that's kind of like or you burn it and it doesn't taste good. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. It's a good alternative if you're trying to stop drinking sugar. Okay. I guess. How many grinds? That's our system of rating I've come up with. What, grinds. How many grinds? Mm-hmm. So you just randomly came up with this right now? I put it into last episode, so I wrote it down in the description. Oh, okay. So how many coffee grinds are you giving this coffee? Is it out of 10 still? It's out of 10 coffee grinds. Yeah. You go first. I'm always going to say you go first. I just asked you. Go on. No. No. Nope. Ladies first? Ladies first. Okay, fine. Mainly so I can cheat. Yeah, you're going to try and go off what I'm saying. Yeah, 100%. Such a cheater. You would have thought, guys, a competitive player is such a cheater. It's as if he's like quitting out game 2s or game 5s. Crazy. Wouldn't be the first time. I would probably give this coffee
Ooh, you know what? I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I think you're probably surprised that I'm going to say that. And I'm actually saying that because this is not exactly my go-to. I especially probably wouldn't go for this in winter. But if I'm thinking of like the time you should drink it, then I'm going to rate it for that. So I would say summer, really nice summer coffee, very floral, very different. But the reason I really like it, and I would give it 8 out of 10, because the flavor profile is so cool.
Yeah.
You can taste every single individual note that is mentioned in the coffee. I would say especially mango and hibiscus with a little bit of honey. I can't taste the cantaloupe. I'm not that mad about that. I don't know if I want to taste cantaloupe in my coffee.
Scared. I chose this one and I was very scared. I read the notes. I really kind of chose it just to like mess with her. I wasn't going to tell her like what it was.
Are you for real?
Yeah, I just wanted to see
how... You wanted to
how...
mess with me?
Not mess with you, but I was just going to test your coffee knowledge. Like, all right, well, what do you taste? And then I was like, haha, it says it right here, but she realized it. So
I did realize.
I'd give it a 6.5.
6.5? Okay, interesting. Why'd you give it
I don't
6.5?
personally, like, it's not my style coffee, which is going to be the hard part of rating because...
But you can talk about why.
Right,
so
I'd say 6.5 because it's very unique. And to what you said, if you're drinking it at the right time, I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
You know, I don't personally, I love a dark roast coffee, 100%. But 6.5 because the flavor profile is so unique.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's probably the first kind of coffee that I've had that tastes like this, which it has to be above a 5 just for being different.
You already know that coffee is good as well when it has the little breathing hole at the back where you can...
I think they all have that.
You can smell it. Some don't. Some do.
I think everyone in this box.
Everyone in the box does. There is actually quite a few in this box as well. We'll actually put it on our social, so you'll be able to see it on Instagram and Twitter as well. We'll make sure we tweet out a picture of what it all looks like, and you can check out our socials and stuff. But you know what? I would say Beanbox. Again, not an ad, not a sponsor, but I would give Beanbox a 10 out of 10. I think they're wicked. I think the fact that you can actually learn about what you're drinking to the point where you know the notes of your coffee.
Am I wrong? You can adjust what you want as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's 10 out of 10.
Yeah. So basically
100%.
you can ask them to like send you random stuff, or you can look at the list and have a look on what is on offer at the moment. And I think some of it's seasonal too, depending on like who's making it and where in the world it's from. So I think, that's really cool that you can personalize it. So if you really loved a certain type, you can get a sampler bag, which is about this size, or you can get a full bag of it as well.
We're going to need to get 2 subscriptions, one random for the podcast and then one just like what we prefer. Because honestly, I love it. It's great.
It's a really cool idea. It's very different and unique, and I think it's wicked, especially if you're a coffee lover too. But really, really loving that, and I really like how different this Kuma coffee is. But you know what, Paige?
Episode 2 in the books.
Yeah, in episode 2 done and dusted. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you guys as usual, and we hope you've really enjoyed it. You can catch our podcast on Spotify and iTunes, and of course YouTube as well. And if you want to follow us on our socials, please go and do it. We've left it in the description below. We've got Twitter, Instagram, all sorts of things. And if we're missing anything, guys, if you want to see it on a different platform, let us know, because we can easily go and do that for you. Super easy, click of a button. So we hope you enjoyed. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you guys next Wednesday. Keep up the grind.
What did you think?
That's good.
Pretty good?
Pretty
Do
good.
we need to re-record it? No.
What do you mean? Do we need to re-record it? You were amazing.
Great. You were amazing.
I love you.
I love you. Your hands are sweaty.
Shut up.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking to you. Can you not hear me? Why? I want to talk to you like this forever. Baby, I love you. What? Didn't say anything. You're my greatest of all time. The GOAT.
Shut up.
Bye.